I would like to discuss with you a skill that is becoming dangerously rare. It's the ability to wire your own brain in an age that desperately wants to do it for you. Have you ever arrived in a strange city, completely disoriented, phone battery dead, unable to speak the language? You look around and you have no idea where you are or who could help you. This short video is about that moment. It's about how when we move from being passengers in our own lives to becoming the cartographers of our own freedom. We have a name for that feeling of profound helplessness. It's called vu jade. It's the inverse of deja vu. It's that terrifying realization that your internal map does not match the external territory. In this moment, you have two choices. You can freeze, consumed by the anxiety of the unknown, or you can actively construct a new mental map until the chaos resolves into a pattern. Most people freeze. In fact, most of us design our lives specifically to avoid vu jade. We live with an outsourced mind. We rely on the GPS to navigate, algorithms to recommend our entertainment, and rigid curriculums to tell us what to learn. But here is the hard truth, represented by the lock on the screen. You cannot outsource your own freedom. Real personal freedom is not just doing what you want, it is the capacity to navigate the unknown without panicking. It's the ability to align your inner convictions with your outer reality. To reclaim this, we need a shift in identity. We need to move from being the passenger to the cartographer. This is the essence of primed adventuring. It's not a travel guide. It is a protocol for building cognitive architecture. The fatal lie of formal learning is that it mistakes data accumulation for intelligence. It ignores your cognitive blueprint. We are here to correct that. We are here to build the deep competence required to pursue satisfaction in unpredictable terrain. To do this, we must understand the hardware we're working with. As you can see here, the brain is not a bucket to be filled with facts. Drawing on Jeff Hawkins and his 1000 brain theory, we know the brain is a prediction machine. Your neocortex is packed with 150,000 or so cortical columns. They act like tiny cartographers. They create reference frames, physical map-like structures that store information relative to location. You cannot be free if these columns are empty. Let's look at how these columns actually work. We call this the coffee shop problem. Imagine you dropped in to a random town. You see a coffee shop, some ambiguity. It looks generic. You don't really know where you are. How do you solve for this? You cannot solve it by thinking harder. You must move. You walk south, perhaps. You see a fountain. Your brain checks its maps. Coffee shop, south, fountain. We're in town A. The ambiguity vanishes. Movement is the antidote to ambiguity. You cannot build a robust mind in a classroom. You must move through the world to create the friction that locks these reference frames in place. If the cortical columns are the hardwire, this is the software. We call it the completion complex. A primed adventurer doesn't rely on raw intuition. They construct a latticework of mental models. As the diagram shows, this complex is built in layers. We have the overarching layers, like the pause. We have the analytical models that help us to read the world. We have enabling models, like anti-fragility, that helps us to achieve freedom through integrating these different shapes. Why do we need multiple models? To create what we call the interjector multiplier. Inter meaning to look between, inject to cast doubt. Look at these lenses on the screen. When you layer models like environmental reading over the rules of the game, you focus your attention. You can look between your internal assumptions and the raw reality, casting doubt on your initial reaction. This focus is what allows you to see what others miss. Now, how do you trigger this system in the heat of the moment? Well, you need the gateway skill, the pause. As Rollo May famously said, human freedom lives in the space between stimulus and response. Most of us have no pause. We feel anxiety, we react. In that automatic state, you cannot access your mental models because you're too busy reacting. The purpose of the pause is to perform a specific cognitive maneuver, subject-object rebalancing. Look at the image on the left. When you are subject to an emotion, you look through it like a dirty window. Gosh, I am anxious. And the anxiety distorts your view. Now look at the right. We want to make that emotion object. So we take off the glasses that we're looking through and we look at them. I have a feeling of anxiety. This shift creates an internal seat of judgment. It turns the emotion from a master into data. So how do we practice this? Well, we have 3 protocols. First, the Ruskin compass. John Ruskin believed that you are only educated when you can answer 3 questions. Stop 3 times a day and ask yourself, where am I? i.e., what's the context in the world that you're living in? Where am I going? And what must you do, given that you know where you want to go? If you can't answer these questions, you're momentarily uneducated, and that's fine. Use the gap as an invitation to learn. Second, to break the automatic loop, we use a 5-second stop. When you hit a trigger, a stressful email, a red light, a physical stop, run this checklist. 3 things that I see, 2 things that I hear, 1 thing that I feel. This sensory grounding forces your brain out of prediction mode and into reality, buying you the time to respond rather than to react. Third, we must wire the hardware. This is the prediction audit. To build reference frames, you need prediction error. Before any difficult event, write down exactly what you expect to happen. Afterwards, compare it to the reality. That spark on the screen, the error signal, is where the learning happens. If you don't make a conscious prediction, your brain fudges the memory. Force the error to force the growth. So where does this lead us? It leads us to a new definition of freedom. Freedom is not leisure. It is not a passive income. Freedom is self-negotiated action. It's the ability to walk into a storm, to read the environment, to understand your internal state, and to choose a path aligned with your convictions. This approach requires work. It asks you to reject the comfort of the unlived life. But the reward is satisfaction. It's the deep resonance that you gain from knowing that no matter where you are dropped into the territory of life, you have the tools to build a map. You can find your true north. The adventure belongs to those who have the courage to pause. Use the link below in the notes to find your way to the Primed Adventuring community. It is 100% free to join and explore, and there are lessons there waiting for you.